These are some of the things that I wish I knew before I started my breastfeeding journey, especially with my firstborn. It was a bit of a challenge to breastfeed. I thought it was so difficult, but along the way, I learned a few tips here and there. And today, that's what I want to share with you so that you don't have to suffer like I did before discovering them. So in case you're watching because you're expecting a baby or you're in that journey of breastfeeding, congratulations. And I promise this is going to be worth your time. So start by liking this video. Start by liking this video because the tips are going to help you. In case this is your first time here, my name is Mercy and my content is about homemaking, motherhood and lifestyle. So in case you're in that space or you resonate with that, I'd really like it if you subscribe and join the channel. Let's begin with the first tip: how to get a proper latch. I wish somebody had taught me how to do that because I feel this is like the backbone of breastfeeding. If you get the latch correctly, then you're going to enjoy the rest of your journey. And if you don't, you're going to struggle, and breastfeeding can be very painful for you. You might get cracked nipples, breast engorgement, bleeding nipples. It can be very painful, and also for your baby it's going to be hard because they'll simply not be getting enough milk. So it's really important to get the proper latch. And so how do you get one? These are some of the things that I was taught by the pediatrician did at the hospital. What you should look out for: number one, when you're breastfeeding your baby, whichever method that you're using, because there are several methods for breastfeeding a baby. Guys, did you know that? But we're going to get into that. So whichever method that you're using, make sure, let's say like you're using the cradle or the one that we just know, the most common, everyone knows it. You should make sure head is to the boob, nipple to nose, tummy to tummy. Okay, your nipple should be at the baby's nose, and then you tickle the top of the baby's mouth around here with your nipple, and the baby is going to start looking for it. They may start opening their mouth, and you have to wait. You look out when the baby has opened his mouth wide and the jaw has dropped. That's when you quickly shove the breast inside the baby's mouth. The aim is to get as much boob as you possibly can into the baby's mouth. What is very important to remember is nipple to nose, tummy to tummy. And also the baby's body should form like a straight line. His head, should show you this. Let me use this candle lead. This is my grandson. So his head, his shoulder and his leg, it should all form like a straight line like that. How do you know you have a good latch? A good latch, the nipple should be far in the back of the baby's mouth. And so when the baby sucks, the massaging action works on your areola and not your nipple. Next, you will not be experiencing pain throughout your nursing session. So normally when you begin breastfeeding, it's a bit painful even if you have a proper latch, but that pain quickly disappears. It's like maybe like a 1 minute pain before your nipple and your boob get used to such kind of aggressive sucking. It should last like a minute and then it disappears. Then the rest of the nursing session is going to be comfortable. But if you're nursing from minute 1 when the baby has latched to like 5 minutes in, there's still pain when you're breastfeeding, then just know that is not a proper latch. But if the pain disappears after like some few seconds, then that's just normal. That's the way it is before the boobs get used to, before the nipple get used to the sucking. How to tell the latch is incorrect is: number one, if the pain is there throughout the nursing session, just know the latch is not correct. Then number two, when the baby unlatch, you will notice your boob is looking like a lipstick. You know, it's like pointed lipstick shape. It's like a bit pointed. So to show the baby was actually sucking or suckling on the nipple instead of the areola. And then the other thing, over time you'll get your nipples will get sore, they might crack or even bleed. So those are all signs of a bad latch. But one thing to remember is, whichever the method, make sure it's nipple to nose, tummy to tummy. Then you wait for the baby to open the mouth wide open, and that's when you get the opportunity to get them on the boob. The other thing, make sure you get yourself a nipple cream and apply each time after each feed. Make sure you apply. Remember, all that sucking, aggressive sucking, can actually dry out that nipple area, the areola and the nipple area. So a nipple cream helps to moisturize and just help prevent cracking, and you should apply immediately after each feed. Don't wait to get cracked nipples or sore nipples to start applying. Just do it before to prevent. The other tip is, never rip the baby off the breast. It's going to hurt a lot. Kwanza, especially if you have cracked nipples, don't try to do it. So if you latch your baby and you realize you didn't do it correctly, you hook the baby's lips like this, just a little like this, and then you're going to break that suction, and now you're going to be able to get your boob off the baby's mouth. But don't rip it off. It's going to hurt a lot. So I wish somebody had told me about that. Another tip, I wish somebody had told me that your body works on supply and demand basis. So when you're breastfeeding, the more your breasts are emptied, or the faster they're emptied, the more the supply. So I remember initially I was usually afraid of pumping, because I was like, okay, the baby has just fed, yes, and he has gone down for a nap, but if I pump and he wakes up in the next 30 minutes, for instance, and I've already pumped, he'll probably not get anything. But that's not correct. In fact, one way of boosting your milk supply is make sure they are emptied many times, because the higher the demand, the higher the supply. When the boobs are empty, a signal is sent to your brain to produce more milk, because more milk is needed, right? And if the boob is full every time, a signal is sent to the brain oh, we are doing a lot, the baby is not able to complete this, so slow down with the production. So let's talk about diet. When it comes to diet, of course you need a balanced diet and a lot of water. I wish someone had told me this earlier, because I remember with my firstborn, I actually overfed. We are made to believe as Africans by our moms, what you need is a huge plate of food, like the biggest plate of food available in the house, and they encourage you and tell you, oh, you're eating for two, you should finish this, you should. No guys, just take your balanced diet. Yes, of course, eat whenever you feel hungry, but don't let it be like it's a whole carb for 3 people. That's what you're feeding just because you're breastfeeding. No, in fact, what is also so important that I feel is not stressed enough by our parents is the importance of water, because a highest percentage of breast milk is just water. So you need to take a lot of water. You need to hydrate a lot. And when it comes to food, just eat your normal portion of food. Don't overdo just because you're breastfeeding and eating for 2. No, eat normally. Make sure it's a balanced diet, and drink lots of water. And I also find that hot drinks, like hot chocolate, Ovaltine that is hot, actually does help a lot. But the notion of you're eating for 2, you should eat a lot of carbs. And let's talk about power pumping. Power pumping is when you basically pump, you take a whole hour. Personally, I do it in the morning. In the morning, you pump for 20 minutes, rest for 10, pump for 10, rest for 10, and then pump for 10. Total should be 1 hour, okay? So this is called a power pump, and this basically just helps to stimulate more production because it simulates cluster feeding. My baby is here, you guys. So it stimulates cluster feeding, and this basically just helps to increase breast supply. So if you're struggling with low milk supply, this is one actually very effective method that you can use to boost your milk supply. Also, I would want you to know there are different methods of breastfeeding, not just the cradle hold. We have the cross cradle, we have another one called the football, where you hold your baby like this. I wish somebody had taught me about this method because I feel it's very easy for a mom who has delivered through CS, because now you see the pressure is not on your tummy, the pressure is away. Also, we have the lying down method. Is that how it's called? I think so. And in fact, these immediately, if you're CS mom, like personally when I delivered both my babies actually, since breastfeeding is initiated so early, even with the CS, I think within the first 2 hours I had already started breastfeeding. But since you're required to lie down, you can't sit up, you're supposed to lie down. So you breastfeed your baby using the lying down method. So you're just lying down, but your baby is brought to the boob, and yeah, just like that. So there are other methods. You don't have, if the cradle method is not working for you, try the football hold, try the lying down method, try cross cradle hold. Yeah, so they are there. Don't be stuck with just one breastfeeding method. Another thing I wish somebody had told me, I'm still going to use this baby here. Do not stretch out the boob to the baby. And I've seen so many people do it. I've done it myself, kitambo, before I learned. Don't stretch out the baby, the boob to the baby. Instead, bring the baby to the boob. And in fact, most of the time you find if you stretch your boob towards the baby, you're going to put unnecessary pressure to your shoulder, your back, and you're going to be in a very uncomfortable position. And at the end of the nursing session, your body will be aching. You get it? Don't bring the baby, don't take the boob to the baby, bring the baby to the breast. By the way, I'm not a lactation specialist or anything, but these are the tips that have worked for me, and right now I'm enjoying my breastfeeding journey so much. And let me first attend to this kitty. Something else I would want you to know is when pumping, the amount of milk you get is not a representative or a true picture of your milk supply. So when you pump and you get just a little amount, don't be worried. That's not the real picture. And in fact, the aim of pumping should be more to send those signals that more milk is needed, hence more production, because I've told you breast milk or breast supply works on demand to supply basis. So the aim should be to get your breast to produce more milk. Now after that, over time, the supply is going to increase and you're actually going to be getting enough milk to even stop. Okay, so don't be worried when you pump and you get just a little amount. So the other important thing that I wish somebody had told me is that there is something called cluster feeding. This is when the baby wants to be breastfed many times within a short period of time. You may find you've just breastfed your baby and maybe he has slept for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes and then he wakes up, he's fussy and cranky, and the only thing that seems to calm him down is putting him on the boob. So it's a thing. I know it can be physically and emotionally frustrating and exhausting, but and sometimes you may, personally I remember thinking something is wrong with my milk supply, or probably the baby is not okay. No, everything is fine. And in fact, if your milk supply is down, then cluster feeding will help to improve the cluster feeding will help improve the supply, because as I told you, the boobs work on demand to supply the higher the demand, the higher the supply. So cluster feeding, it can happen especially when there is a growth spurt. Oh, okay, can I do the video? So generally, your baby is just helping to prepare your body for more supply, because they are growing very fast and they'll need more or higher supply. So it happens mostly during growth spurt. So it's a good thing. Look at it in a positive light. Whenever you notice cluster feeding is happening, if your partner is there, just ask for help. Don't panic thinking the baby is not okay or your supply is low. No, it's a thing. Just take it positively and it will pass. Finally, help is here. I had decided this video we must we must finish today, because I've tried shooting it so many times and it's like he's like, when he sees I'm ready to shoot, the camera is out, he just decides, no mommy, you're not shooting, it's my time to shine. Anyway, let's get on with the video. The other tip I wish somebody had told me is to learn my baby's feeding cues. Okay, and crying is the last resort and you don't want it to get there. So before the baby gets frustrated and starts crying, he actually give you some cues that, you know, mommy, I'm hungry, I want to feed right now. So some of those cues, they are like having their hand in their mouth, and just looking like they are, you know, looking for a boob. If anything touches them, they are turning to that side with an open mouth. And crying, as I've said, is the last resort and you don't want it to get there, because when the baby is crying, it's a little bit harder to get a proper latch. So you really don't want it to get there. You want to maintain the baby and to feed him before he starts getting frustrated and crying. At times, I know I fail a lot. At times I don't always get there. Like right now he's crying. And that brings me to my last point, which is give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. It's okay if you didn't see the feeding cues on time and now he's frustrated and crying. It's okay if your milk supply has dipped and now you're looking for ways to improve. It's okay if you have not been able to get that proper latch. Just give yourself some grace. And even it's okay if breastfeeding is not working for you and your baby and you've resorted to, you know, formula feeds. It's okay. You know, what is important is, in fact, what is important to your baby is that you're there for them, and whatever you give them, whether it's breast milk, whether you're feeding them through the bottle or it's formula, that's what your baby needs. And your baby will, you know, just love you the same. Be patient with yourself. Don't get frustrated. It's okay. And all the best. Give yourself some credit, okay? So now in my next video, I want to talk about what I did to increase my supply. And so if you don't want to miss out on that, please subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload that video. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this video with someone. Please, it doesn't hurt. And let me see you on my next video. In case it was helpful, still tell me there in the comment section. I really love to hear from you. And give us more tips, by the way, in case you know. Bye.